What up, BMNF G's? Yeah! I'm Baron Mind. Welcome back to Baron Mind's Nasty Finds.
What is up, guys? As you can see by the title of this video, I'm back here for another review of a movie, but this time I'm not reviewing it on my own. This is a collaboration video with someone you may know called Baron Mind.
Today what I've got for you all is a very bizarre Japanese flick from the 1980s actually, and this one goes by the name of
Tampon Tango.
Shout outs to my boy BrutalityWillRule666 on YouTube if you want to go and check him out. He's a long-term supporter of the channel. I got him to watch the film as well.
Reviewing this movie without notes would have been impossible for me. I struggle kind of with reviews at the best of times, and this is by far one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen.
I don't know how many, if any, of you are familiar with this one. It is a really, really wild ride. You've never seen a film quite like this before. I'll try my best to explain exactly what goes on. This film originally came out in 1984 on VHS. It's by Masashi Yamamoto.
Low budget, Japanese bizarre adult movie, I suppose you could call it.
The title is what intrigued me originally, you wouldn't be surprised to hear, but it's actually quite interesting because it's not at all what I expected.
I just got done watching this movie. It runs for just under about an hour. It's about 55 minutes.
The film opens with this Japanese director who seems hell-bent on proving that the Japs are actually better than the Yanks at video distribution. He reveals early on that he's invented a scene to do with tampons that has never been done before. He's a pioneer, an innovator, this director.
He seems to be absolutely obsessed with tampons. Now, don't get me wrong, the movie itself doesn't have too much to do with tampons, to be honest. I expected more tampon relevancy in the movie, but there wasn't.
So, the cast get in a car, filming starts and we're at a beach. We see these two females crouching down near to the seaside with a box of washing detergent actually. These two women are both cleaning their vaginas in preparation for the scenes that are to come.
There's two scenes in this movie when a meteorite that just looks like a big crumpled up ball of paper coloured in falls down. In the start, when it hits this girl in the head and she falls on the ground and her nose is bleeding. And then over this hill, we see the man running in with the tampons dangling from his hat. Like, put a tampon in her nose and everything. He comes over and just shoves the tampon in her bloody nose. And
rather than fearing for their health and safety, as you might expect your director to do, this one's first thought is, let's get out those tampons, insert them into the vaginas forcibly while they're knocked unconscious. Not really the sort of director that you want directing your films, to be completely honest. So the director quickly calls on these two guys to come and insert these tampons. They seem to be naked from the bottom down and have tampons dangling from their penises. I mean, who needs pockets really when you've got a third limb there? Just tie a tampon string around the end of your cock and go running off into the sunset. No need for pockets anymore. It's genius. Now, it also seems like one of the guys makes a mistake, and rather than inserting a tampon, he actually inserts a firecracker into the woman's vagina. You do see this pop and there's a bit of an explosion, a bit of fire there, so maybe that is what's implied. I'm not entirely sure.
And the notable thing about this guy, which I found so hilarious, I was actually physically laughing. He runs about with a hat on his head, and I don't know what they're called, but the Australian ones where they dangle the corks from it.
Crocodile Tamp D hat with tampon strings.
He was running about with one of these on, but it had tampons dangling off the edge of it, and he was just running around shouting about tampons all the time. I found that so funny.
One of his male porn stars actually has this tiny 3-inch penis, and he's desperate to lengthen this penis before shooting in the movie, so he tries all sorts of things actually. He's there tying weights to the end of it. He inserts his penis into a hoover while the suction's turned on in an attempt to make it longer. I don't know if that works, guys, if you want to try that at home. He also, quite bizarrely, ends up playing a guitar with his penis, as you would do when you're trying to make it longer. I'm not sure entirely how that would work. I've never tried it myself, but if any of you do let me know. Now, it's almost like an 80s version of Bang Bus, years ahead of its time. The director was right, man, he is an innovator, but he's basically got the cast in the back of a shitty Japanese transit van, all trying different positions and whatnot.
As you may know, if you've seen any sort of Asian pornography, genitalia is blurred in most of them. I think it's just sort of a rule over there. They can show whatever they want, but once they show genitalia, they'll be in trouble. But in this one, the genitalia is not blurred whatsoever. They show everything in full graphic content. They don't blur anything, which I don't know if it adds or takes away. From a movie like this, I don't think it matters too much, because there isn't too much of a story, and if there is a plot, it's very hard to describe.
The sex scenes, it has to be said, aren't particularly good. If anyone's thinking of watching this, you may want to just fast forward through them. The surprising thing about the sex scenes, though, is that they don't actually blur the genitalia on this one. You do get to see full erections, which was quite surprising to me, at least. Women's vaginas also, you don't really get to see those in Japanese porn films, but you do in this one.
If you want to skip through the sex scenes, you can do, because they last about 8 or 9 minutes, I would guess. But I sat through them. I was tempted to skip them a couple times so that I'd get kind of bored, but it's mainly just because nothing's happening at that point in the movie. It's literally just them having sex. There's some funny dialogue here and there.
Bizarrely, in another scene, this door-to-door salesman rings the bell. The housewife answers and she says, "Oh, sorry, my husband's not here. You can't actually come in." He forces his fucking way in anyway. He doesn't give a shit, this guy. He's relentless with his music.
And it's this man, and you see him walking up to this house with a woman's home alone. She's watching TV or whatever. He knocks on the door and he comes in and he's holding this thing under his arm, which isn't clear at that time, in a book or something in his hand. And he's like, "Please just listen to one of my songs, please just one." And she's like, "No, go away, my husband's not here at the moment." But then she lets him in. I think part of that may have been lost in translation, because what it came up in the subtitles was her being like, "No, leave the house, my husband's not here." And then like literally a second there she was like, "Ah, okay, she's coming."
He insists that she listens to his music. He sits down at the dinner table. He's there playing the music. He then decides, fuck it, I'm jumping on the table inside your living room. I'm river dancing on that shit, motherfucker.
And he puts his like turntable thing down on their kitchen table, and they're both sitting having a cup of tea. He puts his music on, they're both listening to it. And then out of nowhere, he climbs up on her coffee table and starts dancing and singing his music. And then she gets up on the coffee table with him.
He gets the wife up on the table with him. They're both there jumping about. He stands on her foot at one point, I noticed, but she doesn't react to that. Very good acting from the woman to keep a straight face while that's going on.
I was laughing so hard at this point, because it's just so bizarre. Like, it's like unfathomable how bizarre these are. And I can't really put it into words.
He starts tearing off her clothes. He binds her legs up at one point whilst he's on the table. And then, of course, he inserts a tampon. Why the fuck wouldn't he? This is Tampon Tango. It's all about inserting tampons forcibly into women's vaginas without asking their permission. Fantastic.
This ends up them two having sex for some reason. They keep chanting, "Your husband's not here, your husband's not here." So they end up having sex.
So, what would happen next? What do you write in the script from that point on? Well, what you do is you get the woman's husband to return home from work. Only, rather than kick off, he fucking joins in, doesn't he, the dirty bastard? He gets involved in a threesome. Only then, another husband comes acrobatically flipping into the living room and he joins in as well. No explanation needed. We then get a female who announces that she's the wife, and so she joins in as well. Then another one comes into the mix, so we've got an orgy going on in the living room.
The whole final scene's about 15 minutes long, probably. The whole final scene is just an orgy of just everyone turning up to this house. One guy shaves his head. There's another guy who comes in clutching a Hoover under his arm, or a vacuum if you're American. There was another guy that comes in and he's holding this bit of red paper in his hand and he's like, "Please fold the paper, bird." And he just walks around the house talking to these people that are having sex, saying that.
Then, in a shocking plot twist, a giant fucking papier-mâché meteorite comes and lands down on the top of a couple. The director, of course, jumps out of the meteorite and he's like, "Get the tampons! Get the tampons!"
And as I said in the final scene, another meteor falls down. And I don't know if it hits anyone, it's pretty unclear.
Surprisingly, despite the lack of a meteorological forecaster in Japan, there's no damage to the roof at all. This meteorite has landed through the roof of the house without causing a scratch of damage. There's no damage to the brickwork, no debris falling at all. This meteorite just lands square onto this couple, killing them both, I think. So the director's crying out, "Let's insert a tampon." Next, a gigantic human-sized tampon falls from the Japanese porn gods.
And then another guy comes in and he's shouting, "Boss, boss, boss."
The thing that concerns me about this film is there seems to be no lock on the door. People ring the fucking bell and they enter the house anyway. You could steal whatever you wanted from that property and nobody would give a shit. What is going on with the Japs? Do they not have locks on their houses in the 80s? It's completely bizarre. At this point, my fucking mind was blown. I didn't know what to expect, what the fuck was going on. People are attacked with a guitar. There's giant sort of disco-like glitter balls exploding with confetti flying everywhere. There are 3 chubby Japanese baton wielders who enter the fray, spinning their batons as they go about dressed in their pants.
And then just the movie ends, rolls the credits, and the song's something like a freaking closing for a family sitcom or something like that.
I honestly don't know what the fuck else to tell you. I'm lost for words with this one.
It's honestly so bizarre. All I know is it's weird as fuck. the plot's very hard to follow, but I enjoyed it, I suppose.
Anyway, until next time, boys and girls, I guess that is me out. I'll see you all soon. Peace!